I used to think that making money as a student was basically impossible. There's only 24 hours in the day. But there is actually a way that you can make a significant amount of money sustainably as a student. Money is just an exchange of value. And you may not think it, but students already have a ton of value to share. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can earn at least $1,000 per month as a student. And like anything, it takes work up front, but eventually it will be money coming in, whether you're sleeping or studying. If you're new here, my name is J.R. Smith. I'm an orthopedic surgery resident at the Mayo Clinic. And as a resident and the sole financial provider for a family of 4, I knew that I needed to find other ways to make money. So over the past 7 years, I've been building a semi-sustainable source of passive income. And I've learned a ton during this time. And I want to share basically everything that I've learned with you so that you can achieve the level of passive income that you need in hopefully a fraction of the time. But you won't just be learning from me and my experience in this video. We'll be talking to my friend Kenny, otherwise known as Kenny Finance, who will really share the secrets of financial growth that we can implement as students. Kenny spent over 7 years on Wall Street working as a private equity investor at some of the leading investment firms in the world. And now he's created over 100 videos himself, sharing everything that he's learned about earning, saving, and investing his money. But before we get to Kenny, one thing that we have to understand is that money is simply a trade of value for value. As a student, one valuable thing that you can exchange is your ability to learn and teach hard concepts. Eventually, we want to take this skill and make it actually work for us, but we have to first put in some elbow grease ourselves. The process looks something like this. We first sell the value we have by the hour, then package it so that it sells without us, and then invest the profits so that the money works while we study. So tier 1 is active income through tutoring or coaching. This is probably the most straightforward way that students can earn income. Start with one subject or process that you love and excel in, then offer one-to-one help. And it doesn't have to be a specific topic either. It can be the process of learning itself. You can focus on test taking tips if you're a good test taker, or you can even niche down to be the Anki expert and help students set up their Anki decks. Before medical school, I mentored and tutored students through my profile on care.com, and I discovered that I loved teaching how to learn even more than teaching any specific topic. When I began applying to medical school, I brought that same value to YouTube and shared weekly insights on study systems and focus that were helpful for me. That work slowly grew into ad revenue and sponsorships because I was able to provide value to an audience. Then I created a course called the Evolving Student Challenge, sharing everything that I learned about how to learn and grow as a student. Basically everything that I've talked about over the hundreds of videos that I've made on this YouTube channel into a more focused and condensed month-long course. And this course has already helped tons of students achieve their academic goals. And now this course earns more passively, but that's only because I did the hard work up front.
How would you define, just so we're all on the same page with these terms, active and passive income?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you think about the world of medicine, it's probably the most painfully rewarding career you can ever pursue, right? Because you're dedicating a large chunk of your life towards a path that is financially rewarding on the back end, and sort of like soulfully rewarding as well, given the quality of work and the impact that you all have on everyone. So this is a very important topic, a very important video, because we now live in the world to where that painful long-term journey towards living that life of what you want to live, of a physician, doctor, etc., you can get a little bit of cash along the way, right? And I don't think these kind of opportunities existed 5, 10, 20 years ago. So it's the sweet spot and like the golden opportunity, I think, for students globally. And if you were to break down passive versus active income, you want to think of active income as anything that requires you to actively spend time and apply your skills to generate revenue or income towards, right? That is like, if I want to be an NBA basketball player, granted I'm only 5'10", but if I want to be a baller, I actively need to show up to game day, play and perform and score buckets. That's an active job. Passive is the complete opposite. Passive is something to where you can set up the infrastructure maybe once, or create a product, or purchase an asset once, and start to clip the returns or the yield or the cash from that particular piece of infrastructure or income or asset passively, meaning that you do one big heavy lift once to put something out into the world or purchase something in the world that has the potential to generate you cash flow without you needing to be as involved or involved at all. And if you want to think about like great examples of the passive income, and I know you have a lot of questions on that, but the most like clear example in the broader picture is real estate, right? Like real estate, when you buy a piece of property once and it's rentable, theoretically that one piece of property can generate you monthly income every single month until you either sell it, right? You don't need to every single day show up to that property to generate rent from your tenant. So that's like an example of like passive income. And that, I'll go back to that example a few times throughout the video, but this is like an example of thinking through how can you set the infrastructure up once, or how can you purchase an asset once and clip the benefits of that.
I love that. And that makes me feel better about buying this house.
Congrats, man. I hear it's hard to do that these days.
It is. Yeah, well, thankfully, I actually bought it in COVID, so it ended up working out for me.
Oh, perfect.
But you bring up like really, really good points. And I think, most of the people listening to this are going to know that so much of their schoolwork is going to be the active component of life. And I think they're ultimately going to want some of their finances to be moving more passively. But I think that for the most part, the world doesn't work where we can get what we want without ever having to do anything. So usually something has to be done up front. And so I would love if you could speak on kind of how you would recommend students go about, first just picking a lane that they can pursue to kind of find some financial value and something lucrative for them that may end up turning passive, but finding a lane that they could do that in while also not, completely taking all their time away from their academics in school and stuff like that.
Oh, heck yeah. I love this question, JR. It's like, when I think through like this particular like piece of a student's journey, time is the most valuable commodity that you have, right? And what you want to think about is how can you unlock significant leverage in what you're already doing to unlock financial incentives, outcomes, and cash, right? Like it would be kind of distracting for me to tell your audience of amazing students, practitioners that like, hey, while you're spending 15 hours a day in your field, you should also have a lemonade stand outside of the hospital and like generate income that way, right? One that requires even more time and it's unrelated to your field. So you need to figure out like, what are you already doing that could unlock significant opportunities to generate cash from what you're already doing currently. And when I think about it, like as a student, you have expertise in study, you have expertise in prep, you have expertise in possibly networking and recruiting. And I like to think about it, you've accomplished something that probably 100,000 people across the world also want to accomplish. So how is it that you can monetize that scarcity value in whatever you've done in life to provide value to others that want to sort of like either take shortcuts, learn from your experience, or hear about resources that they didn't know existed in the past? And like the best way the folks I like to do that is like either through coaching, right? You are able to monetize your time by offering one-on-one or group-to-one services and conversations or consultations towards folks that just want to hear about your expertise. It didn't require you to do absolutely anything incremental, right? You just had to go through the journey which you went through. Now it's just about like putting a open sign on your calendar that says, hey, I'm willing to spend 2 hours a week or 2 hours on weekends speaking with others about my experience and helping to answer questions about their journey. Now the pricing, your time is very valuable, right? So I wouldn't, set up a coaching call and charge $10 or $15 an hour, right? Like think about what that premium is and like how much you value your time to say like, you know what, if I'm willing to speak with folks, maybe I'll do it for $100 an hour, $200 an hour, whatever that may be, do the math individually. But that's like one of the easiest ways you can think through that. And that, if we go back to the original question of passive versus active, like we will place that in the active bucket because you actively have to use your time to generate income from your expertise. And if you want to touch on passive approaches in that same example, is you could, instead of having one-on-ones or group-to-ones, you can maybe just document everything that you've ever done, right? Study guides or a networking tracker or, I don't know, I'm not that much of like a science genius, but whatever resources you guys use to like develop mastery in your field, document that, put that in a PDF or an Excel or Google Drive, and then sell that thing, right? Like have a website on like Stanstore or Squarespace and say, if you want to purchase my exact study guide that helped me get into Harvard's medical school, $20, right? And you let the unlimited amount of folks that want to have that expertise, have the chance to purchase that, to have access to that resource. You only had to make it once, or you probably already made it when you went through the journey yourself. All you did was just package it, clean it up, and put it into a monetizable product, and then use whatever you can, your network, your platform, your influence, just to let people know that, hey, there is something that you can buy to get inside my brain to help shortcut your own unique journey and trying to do what it is you want to do to get to an outcome that I've already achieved. That I think is like one of the clearest examples of a passive and active income path.
Dude, I absolutely love that. That was a phenomenal explanation of both tracks. And I think it's actually going to be incredibly enlightening for anybody who's listening, because I'm sure that a lot of people who just listen to you are like, oh, shoot, I can actually there is something that I can actually teach or provide to someone else based on things that I'm already doing. And I love how you really emphasize, like, you're already going through the track, go through your journey, and your journey, just the act of you going through the journey, is valuable for you, of course, but it can also be valuable for somebody else. And there's a way to capitalize on that value, and in a way that's going to be even further valuable for you.
Quick pause for a resource that I love and need to tell you guys about. Since we're talking about turning a skill into income, the fastest way to do that is to master one topic so well that you can teach it and ultimately build an entire business around it. And Brilliant is perfect for that. It's a learning app that helps you become a better thinker and problem solver with thousands of visual and interactive lessons in math, science, programming, data analysis, and even AI. Each lesson builds understanding from the ground up, and you can work through them on your computer or your phone, which makes it super easy to build a real daily habit of learning a topic that you can teach later. If I was personally coaching a student on how they can make money from their academic interests, I would tell them to first pick a topic that they're passionate about on Brilliant, then work through it and then teach it to someone else. I'm currently working through the AI lesson so that I can bring better AI knowledge into my current videos for you guys. And the best thing is that you can start learning on Brilliant for free. Just click the link in the description below. And if you want unlimited daily access to everything on Brilliant, they're giving you guys 20% off the annual premium subscription. So make sure that you check them out now, not only because you can find something that can become a business for you, but because you'll actually learn a topic better and more efficiently than you could otherwise. Okay, let's get back to the video. So tier 2 is the semi-passive stage where you need an upfront active period that eventually turns passive. This is through digital assets and the creator economy. The goal is to turn what you repeatedly say in your tutoring or coaching sessions into assets that can sell without you in the room. It doesn't have to be starting an entire YouTube channel or creating an online course. You can simply record one live workshop and offer the recording, or write a short guide and set up a downloadable link, or launch a tiny email list that sends a helpful lesson each week. You have to experiment to find what works best for you, and as your audience grows, then more and more opportunities will present themselves.
I think one of the things that students may struggle with is, how to know when they actually have something that can be valuable online, and then like how exactly to go about that. It's like, are there certain avenues that may be more lucrative or require less time? Like there's a lot of ways to make money in this new kind of creator economy that we live in. And I think that's what's opening up a lot of the doors that we've been talking about for students. One of them is, setting up a camera like this and talking to it, for 15 minutes a week and posting a video every week. And, one could say that is a heavy lift, as you know well, I know well. And, another option is, like you mentioned, getting a PDF and posting that out. But I'm sure that there's things to consider. One is, if you don't really have a foundation of an audience or a community, how successful could, a downloadable product be? Or if do you go in and you start kind of trying to create contact, developing a personal brand, and then incorporating other kind of like downloadables or other more passive ways of making money in the creator economy? How do you kind of like navigate those kind of questions for somebody who's like, I don't even know where to get started. I just know that I want to start now that I know I actually have something to provide, some value to provide to someone. Now I want to figure out like, what's the best direction that, be lucrative at the tail end, hopefully not too much time at the tail end, even if there is some up front. How would you kind of approach that?
Yeah. Wow. I think I don't know if we have 10 hours to unpack all of that, but like that's like half my catalog. Content is like how to think through this. But I'll summarize it in two core parts. The first part is like, when do you know you're ready to monetize your experience or skills? And then the second part, I'll unlock in like the 5 ways how I would make money as a med student, right? People love listicles, but focusing on like the first piece of like, when do you think you're ready to monetize? And like the clearest example is throughout your path as a student or someone in the field, if you've tackled a mountain, which you're going to have to tackle many mountains in your journey, in your career, in your studies, but if you've tackled at least one and you look back and you had a game plan of how you tackled it, that's a chance to monetize. Because right there, you look at the mountaintop that you just tackled, you can look back and say like, these resources, this, or these guides, or this person helped me get to where I am today. That is a good enough story to monetize for at least one person that is at the beginning of that mountaintop that you just climbed. So that right there is a very monetizable experience. Now, if you're a beast and you're just in the business of tackling and climbing so many mountains, right? Whether it's like biology, then chemistry, then organic chemistry, then the MCAT, things like that. Like those are multiple mountains that you might think, oh, it's normal for folks to tackle it this easily, or like, you know, with this many scars. But the reality is you can 1,000 times X your expectation of who else is going through it. And those are the folks that need it, right? You don't think about your immediate friends, family, network, classmates as your total addressable market for who you could potentially present yourself to, create a community with, and share your content with. The world is so big, and there are so many intellectually curious folks that want to learn from people that don't even know that they have a skill set or a journey that they could tackle. Now, moving on to like, if Kenny were a pre-med student at Michigan where I went to undergrad and I wanted to like find ways to make cash because I know I'm about to sit in a couple hundred bands of debt, how would I tackle it? I think the first piece is, of course, one-to-one coaching. I think that's probably the easiest approach, to where if you can somehow build yourself a name and an attachment to some field or expertise, have a line of folks that want to spend time with you. Don't give all that away for free, because your time is incredibly valuable. Charge a little bit for it. Start small, like $50 an hour for it, then work your way up. And you can go on platforms like Leland, where I'm a private equity coach for, and it allows a marketplace for people that have expertise and people that want to get taught or mentored. They connect, and is a platform for you to be discovered, to start monetizing your time and your skill set. So that's the first one, is coaching. Now, the second piece is, once you start building your brand up a little bit more, you start to have more than one, more than 5, more than 10 people that are potentially interested in something. Start a community of it, all right? Like I love connecting people, to where if I don't know something, I love having a friend that knows something that also has another friend that knows something, and putting them all together in a very like clear community unlocks a lot of synergies for everyone. Like, this is what we like to call group chats, Slack accounts, Discords, and to the point you start to realize that like the conversations that are happening in here are such elite, valuable, incredible conversations. Monetize that. Say like, if you guys want to have this kind of like access to, if you want to be in the room, you got to pay $20 a month, right? Like if you want to be in the study group, for me and my friends, like if we were at Michigan and pre-med students, and like if you guys want to have access to our study groups, right? The resources that we use, the conversations we have, the tips we provide to each other, the interview prep that we offer to each other, $10-$20 a month, right? Some folks can afford it, some can't, but the ones that can't afford it are likely serious about this journey and they want to be in the mix, right? Like if I were graduating high school and I wanted to be a pre-med student, but some creator at Michigan that was a pre-med student created a community that anyone can join, that is a dream come true for me. And if it only costs $10-$20 a month, that's somewhat almost better than college, right? Because I have access and connect with folks that are like 4 or 5 years ahead of where I want to be. And they've invited me, given like a little bit of a fee, to just be in the mix and be in the room and listen to them, ask them questions. Like that is incredibly valuable. So that's the second piece. The third piece is like when you're climbing that mountain and you figured out what resources have helped you tremendously, I would do whatever you can to like make it sellable and clean it up and polish it up and just add like a price on it and sell that. Like have a stand store where you can sell your study guides, sell like your networking tracker, your resume templates, little things like that. It doesn't need to be incredibly expensive. You can sell it for $5. You can sell a study guide for the MCAT for $5. And you might think, oh, it's only $5. But what if 100,000 people buy that? Right? You made $500,000. I don't know what that covers in the med world. Probably one semester of school, right? but you know, it's just like, don't let your perceived value and price point think that you can't unlock significant income with scale. No one in the entire world knows how these algorithms work to push things out to people that want to see something, right? If I put a resume template out for $1, but it's the most fire resume template in all of finance, and 1 million people download it and buy it, that's $1 million right there. I quit my job. I'm in the business of making resumes, selling them for $1. Things like that, right? And think about, like, if you're a student right now, like, listen to me, like, think about what you have saved on your Google Drive right now. Think about what you spend a lot of time curating to help you do better, right? And think about how much value that could provide to someone else that is trying to do something similar. Especially if you've already, like, taken a class or taken a test, like, you don't need that stuff anymore. Like, monetize it, give it out to the world, you know? So that's like the third way. And then the fourth way I'd say is invest in building a brand, right? Like, I think the world is so lucky to have you on YouTube because you've invested the time to transparently share your journey of med school, of being in the field, of having an incredible family, of having balance, having productivity. Like, you have an amazing brand for, like, almost anyone in any field. But that took time to build, and it took an investment to make. And I think the world should take note that I should somewhat try to evolve to have a similar journey as Involving Matic, right? Of, like, investing to build a brand and a presence. Because once you hit a certain scale and a rhythm and momentum in the world of content creation and building a brand and putting yourself out there, the world eventually rewards you incredibly, right? Like, if you were to tell me 15 years ago that I could, like, make YouTube videos and start to get paid by just making those videos and hitting upload, I would have done it 15 years ago, right? Like, building a brand can unlock ad revenue. Building a brand could have incredible brands wanting to reach out to you to sponsor video, to sponsor Instagram posts, anything, right? The key is take the initiative to take that first step. Think incredibly long-term to never stop taking steps. And maybe after your 10,000th step, you take a look back and reevaluate a strategy or a solution or next steps forward, you know? But, like, you'd be very surprised the world of vulnerability plus consistency plus constant iteration and improvement, what that could unlock financially for you as a creator. And I think anyone that has a phone that can record at least 1080p quality has a shot at building an incredible creative brand. And it just takes practice. Everyone's gonna suck their first video. Everyone's gonna be absolutely embarrassed their first TikTok or their Instagram. But the key is make 100 of them or 1,000 of them before you give yourself too much of constructive criticism to stop. That's what I like to say. And then the fifth one, and this is, like, where I spend a lot of time on my YouTube channel, is, like, once you start unlocking cash flow from all this stuff, you can take it a step level and buy yourself a business, right? I love talking about buying businesses. That's like the Kenny Finance brand. But think about the world that we live in, where there are 10,000 baby boomers retiring every single day. Most of them own the small businesses that keeps America and other businesses across the world growing, and the economy's growing. And they have no one to pass their businesses down to. And there are so many medical related businesses that are about to just go into the abyss of ownership, that I think folks that either have enough education or the full 10 yards of education can go out, find some funding to buy a business, and they can run a company on day one as a CEO, management team leader, and you can unlock incredible cash flow and earnings potential and generational wealth by owning boring small businesses in the health and medical space. So,
dude,
I data dumped a lot at you guys. So
that was, dude, I can't believe, like, honestly, this should be the biggest motivator for everyone to go and just subscribe to Kenny Finance right now, because the fact that you just ripped off a 5-tier listicle that was absolute pure heat is one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. And I just, like, I couldn't agree more. And thank you for the
the support with the evolving medic building a brand. And I'm really happy that you mentioned that too. And I think it's literally either going to be the video before this or the video after this, where the whole purpose of the video is the importance of building a brand, especially as people pursuing careers in medicine. More and more, students are making YouTube videos, and now more and more physicians are making our YouTube channels. And, it has definitely been something that has changed my life and the trajectory of my career. And so I think that the earlier that people recognize the value in developing an online presence and a brand, and, now people care more about Anthony Edwards than Adidas, or they care more about LeBron James than Nike, it's, and even for these large brands, like Spotify and all these other kind of large brands, the CEO of the brand is becoming a much more vocal and apparent figure than they had in the past, because for businesses to succeed at this point, a personable brand is what is appealing to human beings rather than just the name of a company or the name of a brand. And so as future physicians, we will have our own company. We'll have our own practice. It'll be the patients that we serve, but it is a business and it is a practice. And building brand now is essentially getting some real estate 100 years ago. If you don't do it now, you're gonna be mad that you didn't, or get Bitcoin,
and the coolest thing is the world of content today is, in my head, buying digital real estate that pays dividends for the rest of your life.
Yes. My
YouTube videos never expire. So as I continue to grow and build my brand, I can at least clip some type of YouTube AdSense from this, right? Right? Mm-hmm. There's so many ways, and there's so many ways I can monetize my back catalog too, right? YouTube's launching a feature now where you can start to swap out brand slots into different old videos and things like that. And it's content today is the most incredible piece of digital real estate that will never go away, that pays dividends forever, as long as you're willing to continue to invest in the number one thing that matters, and that's you and your story, and just do it with a camera in front of you. Mm-hmm. It's the coolest thing in the entire world.
Exactly. And I love that you brought that point up too, because I think that a lot of people are doing it backwards, and that they are thinking about, okay, I'm going to start the YouTube channel or whatever medium of content that I want to start creating, and then use that to try to create an interesting life. But in reality, it's the path that you laid out, where have the interesting life, which most students have. Most people who are going to be watching this are going to be people who are relatively busy, juggling a lot of things, which by definition kind of makes your life relatively interesting. If you're doing things, right, you have to just do the things. So do the thing that you have to do anyways, and just like you said, just document it. So, put a camera out. You can if you don't want to be in front of a camera, you can tweet certain things. You can develop a presence on Twitter or X or whatever. You can develop a presence. There's all these different LinkedIn, there's all these different kind of platforms now that you don't have to be even a visual content creator. You can have a blog post or whatever it is, but just document as you go. You have the interesting life, do the things, be good at what you're doing, which most of the people who are watching this are passionate about, and then document it. And then the last point that I'll mention too on what you said is, I love the idea of do whatever it is. If it's videos, pictures, tweets, whatever, do 100 of them before you even look at them. Because I struggle incredibly looking at my old content. I'm just ooh, this is so cringy now.
Cringe.
That I don't even know if I can have this online. I keep it just so that I can laugh at myself. But and there's this sick parable. It's this parable about a pottery teacher, and the pottery teacher breaks up the class into two groups. In one group, they say you have 30 days to make one pot. In the other group, they say you have to make one pot per day for 30 days. So one group has 30 days to create this work of art, this masterpiece, and the other group just has to rip off, it's more of a quantity kind of thing, just one pot a day. And at the end of the 30 days, brings them up, ranks the top 10 pots from the two groups, and all 10 are from the ones that had to do one pot per day. And, the initial thought is like, oh, if I had 30 days, I would like make a masterpiece. But the problem is if you just focus on doing one thing and you never press send, or you're a perfectionist with your content, in this case, a pot, you're not going to learn from the things that you learn from after pressing send. And if you press send 30 times, or you create that pot 30 times, you're going to say, oh, this one, I could have done a little bit different here. I could have done a little bit different here. And then even if you only have 24 hours, you've learned so much because of the volume that you have created, that's going to take you, the production is going to be much more elite, after those learning steps that you've had along the way. So,
and finally, tier 3 is when you can take some of the income that you're making and invest it. When the income starts to feel steady, then you can use a bit off the top to begin a journey towards long-term financial freedom and wealth through investments. For me, I like to make things as simple and easy as possible. So the primary way I invest is through Acorns, which just invests regularly for me into the S&P 500. And if you use the link in the description, you'll actually get a free $5 bonus investment to start your journey today. So literally free money to start something that your future self will thank you for. But for students who aren't able to commit time to really following the market, I personally think investing broadly is the move.
The last question that I have is, let's say for the people who are on the further side of the spectrum, where they've put the things into practice that you've talked about, they started to have a little bit of cash flow. Now they have some passive income, and they're at a place where, they are sustaining their day-to-day needs, the bills, the musts, and now they have a chunk of change that they can invest. And, they've heard, if you just put it in a savings account, that's pointless, do something else with it. And from some people they're hearing, S&P 500, from some people they're hearing Bitcoin, from some people they're hearing a HSA, retirement accounts, and, they're hearing all of these things about what to do with this extra money. What do you think would be the most effective thing that a student can do with extra income after they've already used the money to provide for their needs?
This is deep. That's good. I think the first thing is take a look at how much debt you have accumulated in the background. I think that's the first thing. I think folks start to get cash and they just kind of like forget that they had some leverage and funding to get to where they are. But what people need to understand is like debt does have an interest rate, and an interest rate on that debt can either ruin all your growth as an investor or accelerate it, right? So I would say like take inventory of like how much you owe to either like the lenders or the government that helped you pay for your education expenses, and see what the interest rate is on that, because that's going to be our benchmark. Because whatever we do either needs to pay down that debt if it's a high interest rate, or put in an asset that has a return better than what we are paying on our student loans. Because then like the net impact interest rate wise would be better because we have a lot more returns. So if you were to tell me that in investing I can get a 10% return in the markets, but I only owe 5% in student loans, I would say put in the markets, right? But if the best returns that I could get is 10% in the markets, but my interest rates are 20% on all my student loans, I would do whatever you can to start paying off as fast as you can that high interest debt, right? Because the interest that you have to pay on your student loans eventually start to take away the returns you would get investing elsewhere. So that's like a tactical first thing, just like let's clean up the house a bit. Beyond that, I'm going to summarize the world of personal finance in like 2 minutes.
Like only you can.
Yeah, because it really just blows my mind that like folks out here are YouTubers that do personal finance content, and like they have 52 videos out there about the same topic. I'm like, it could be summarized in 2 minutes, guys. The first thing is spend less than you earn. Right. So for all the income that you start to generate going forward, whether through your side hustles or through your actual income as a doctor, I want you to take a look at all your expenses to cover your needs, your housing, your family, and then figure out what your income is and ensure that you always spend less than you earn. And if you want to sort of have like a good framework of budgeting, I like the 50-30-20 rule. And that is 50% of your income should go towards your needs. That is paying your rent, your mortgage, your car note, health insurance, utilities, anything that you need to survive. 30% is for your wants. That's like dining out, gym membership, Netflix, things like that just give you like a quality standard of life. And then 20% at least should be saving and investing. And if you have capacity to sacrifice and just thug it out a little bit, I would actually swap the two. And I would do 30% of saving and investing, or even more. And then that remaining is for your wants. And Warren Buffett, and I like to call this like paying yourself first. With all the cash that you have left after paying all your needs, pay yourself first by investing and putting it to work. Now, what to invest in? I'm not a financial advisor. I don't have the golden key of like what makes a great stock or a crypto asset. What I will say is you want to think about what it takes to actually pick a good investment, right? Like we both have a common friend that works in the public markets hedge fund space. And I'll tell you this, he probably spends 3 to 6 months studying a business, its market, its competitors, its value proposition, its moats, its product market fit before he actually buys and invests in that one particular name. You have folks out here hearing about a name from a barbershop or in a taxi cab and then putting all their life savings into one stock, right? And the stock market is a marketplace where if someone's buying, someone's selling. So who do you think it has the better outcome? Someone that spent months to years studying a space versus someone that just heard about a name and bought it because they saw it on Twitter, right? So I don't think the average student, pre-med student, has the time and capacity to do enough diligence research necessary to have conviction in one particular name. So if you don't have that capacity and time, which I think 99.9% of the world doesn't have, buy index funds. And an index fund is essentially a basket of stocks that represent the average performance of all the companies that are included in that composite. The best one in the entire world is probably S&P 500, SPY, right? Because you're making a very broader bet on American businesses. I'm not betting on NVIDIA's earnings. I'm not betting on Apple's latest iPhone release. I am betting that the average performance of businesses in America is gonna be good, right? That's my bet. If I don't like America, fine. I'll buy a UK index fund. I'll buy a China index fund. I'll buy a Africa index. Pick a region or pick an industry. Just don't pick one particular name, right? So the cool stat is that like over the last 70 years, the average return, like compounded average return of the S&P 500, like the most diversified index fund, has been around 10.5% return. Mm-hmm. And another cool stat is that like that index fund has outperformed single stock pickers, even like the hedge fund like pros. It has outperformed that like 80% of the time, right? So even the pros get it wrong. So the best thing you could possibly do is set and forget. And what I want folks to do is pick an index fund, invest in it, never sell it, and every paycheck keep money into it as well. And that's how you generate significant, crazy returns. And then once you start to like get to a very large sum and a really good balance, and you're like 20, 30 years in the game of saving and investing, you can do some pretty hefty stuff with that, like buying businesses and buying properties and things like that. But we'll save that for another video.
Dude, I love that.
But I wouldn't. I don't recommend. I don't recommend like going into the crazy speculative assets like just buying NVIDIA or just buying crypto or any of that. So it's you don't have capacity to do that, right? Like why? Sure. And then why put yourself through the emotional roller coaster of like having a significant part of your net worth go up and down 5 or 10% every single day? Like, how are you going to deliver better quality to your patients if you know that your crypto is down 20%? Right?
Yeah, no, that patient gonna struggle like me.
Yeah, like make it make sense. If my dentist owns Ethereum and it's a down day, I'm not showing up. So you're not going in my mouth.
Oh, no. I love that, man. No, dude, that was perfect. And that was exactly what I needed to hear too, just as someone who is wanting to get involved in that form and just increase my financial literacy too. And so you do, just like I said, a phenomenal job of being able to do that. I basically just use Robinhood, and hopefully that is something that you can agree on, that's appropriate.
Yeah, it's easy enough.
Because now I'm going to be
SPY
asking
or whatever the indexes are, just like it's easy to set it and forget it. And on Robinhood, you can do recurring investments, recurring contributions to where every paycheck, it just automatically does it for you. Like investing, like people think that investing, you need to be a hardo that looks at charts every day. No, right? Like what you need to do is pick something that you have conviction in. Set the systems and the infrastructure to routinely invest in it. and just like forget about it. Like go touch grass, live life, hug your family, right? Like that's what folks need to be spending their time doing. Not studying charts and just like growing gray hairs because markets are going crazy or there's trade wars, right? Like just set it and forget it and just have conviction in that 10.5% number that like over the last 70 years, this index has generated like 10 to 11% returns. I'm okay with that. Because if you do the math, 10% compounded over like 100 years, 50 years, 70 years, it can drastically transform what you think your money can do.
Yeah.
So,
dude, again, man,
approach, man.
that's the approach I'm doing. Like I said, I opened my Robinhood probably like 8 months after, like in an interval of like 8 months, and it was like a good day. It was like, oh, okay, stuff is like this sick, like you know, because I just have the recurring things on. They even have like a roundup function or something, so it's just like spare change. You know, like if purchase like $7.82, then it'll just put 18 cents into the thing and it just rounds it up. So but no, man, I think like your description of showing us how we can go from a student who's just stressed out about falling behind financially, students in this kind of career path always feel like they're just delayed. They feel like they're late to being able to start families. They feel like they're late to being able to buy a home, have any type of financial security because they're just a student for literally all the way through their 30s. And so I think being able to describe, as you so eloquently did, the path of being able to go from that student to actually someone who can make what they're doing actually work for them while they're working, not having to take off like two separate, kind of roads. And I've been a big proponent of this like work-life integration. And, like just integrate everything that you're doing in your life. Like it can just all be the thing. You don't have to try to like have these two separate pockets and jump in between lives because that's exhausting. But you're already living the amazing life that you're living. Now you can capitalize on it financially. And then as you do that, then you set yourself up for the future success as well. And you just like perfectly explain that. And I'm inspired. I have some stuff that I'm going to be working on, and I know everybody listening is going to as well. And I do want to just re-emphasize that everybody who watches this, I know that you're interested in growing your financial literacy and ultimately your bank account. So follow Kenny Finance because that is how I am learning. And I know that you want to as well. So I really, really appreciate you, Kenny. Any last words?
Man,
if not, we can keep it.
I appreciate that too, man. It's the way how I think about it. It's like life shouldn't be complicated. Life should be meant for living, right? So if you're nervous about creating stuff, get to living. Put stuff out there, embarrass yourself, because you're going to learn, you're going to iterate, you're going to get a lot of touch points from your viewers and your customers. You're going to figure out what actually works. So get out there, post things, create things, invest things. Money shouldn't be complicated. It's a tool for you to live a better life. And one of the most important things that if you're watching this video right now and you haven't hit subscribe on his channel, if you haven't hit like on this video, understand that costs you absolutely nothing, right? But it just invites you into this space to think and learn like someone that has been through what you're trying to go through, right? So like if I was a new viewer, man, I would just watch your entire catalog to just like try to shortcut how I can live a life like how you're living right now, because it's amazing. From the outside looking in, like you're thriving in your career, you're giving back through your content, you have an amazing healthy family. Like what could another guy ask for? Right? So I'm gonna bang that like button like 15,000 times.
Let's go. Let's go.
It's a good life. It's a good life that you're living, and it's hopefully it was useful. I like to thank everyone for their time, and this is a good first step because you've invested in thinking through that next chapter of how I can build a brand, build a presence, and once I start generating cash from that, what I can do for that. So shout out to you all for investing the time into yourselves to want to do better and prepare the infrastructure for your successful future. So it's super cool, man.
I hope that you enjoyed this video and learned as much from Kenny as I did, and I hope it gave you a little bit of motivation to start your journey towards financial freedom, even as a student. If you did enjoy it, then I know that you would love this video where I talk about some of the highest yield study strategies that I use as a doctor that I can almost guarantee will help you learn easier than you thought was possible. Until the next one, keep evolving, and I'll see you guys soon.